to the mysterious photos supposedly showing the long-lost Amelia Earhart, to one of the most famous poltergeist stories in the UK, here are 5 more mysteries and conspiracies that we can finally call an end to. As always, sit back and enjoy. Amelia Earhart photo. Amelia Earhart was an American aviation explorer and writer who was the first female to fly solo across the Atlantic. She was a celebrated pilot and early supporter of the Women's Rights Amendment, and became somewhat of a celebrity in the 1930s. On June 1, 1937, Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, took off from Miami Airport in a twin-engine Lockheed 10E Electra plane to embark on their second attempt to be the first to circumnavigate the globe. After numerous stops, they arrived in New Guinea on June 29th, having completed around 22,000 miles of their journey. Earhart and Noonan took off from Lae Airport on the 2nd of July 1937. Their intended destination was Howland Island, but they never made it. The pair, along with their plane, disappeared somewhere over the Pacific. It was believed that they had run out of fuel and plunged into the sea, although their bodies or the plane wreckage have never been located, and the disappearance remains one of the world's most enduring mysteries. So when in 2017, a photograph was shown on the History Channel that claimed to show the image of Earhart, Noonan, and their plane on the Marshall Islands, it renewed interest in the case. The image was reported to have been taken in 1937, at a time when the islands were occupied by Japan, and claimed it proved Earhart did not die in a crash landing in the Pacific, but that she reached the islands and was captured and died in Japanese custody. Even facial recognition expert Kent Gibson told the History Channel that it was very likely that the individuals pictured in the snapshot were Earhart and Noonan. However, military history blogger Kota Yamano did some investigating and revealed the image in question was from a book published in 1935, 2 years before Earhart even left on a trip. He also discovered that despite the likeliness the person in the picture had to Earhart, at the time it was taken, she was nowhere near the area. It seems that Kota was not the only one who doubted the credibility of this new evidence, as after other experts spoke out, even the History Channel said that they were exploring the latest developments. So despite the headlines, it seems the mystery of Earhart rumbles on. The Brown Lady Ghost of Raynham Hall. This photo, taken in 1936, was universally believed to be one of the best and most convincing ghost photographs ever taken, and over the years was exhibited as photographic proof that ghosts do exist. We even featured it ourselves a few years back, of course not claiming it was a ghost, as we never do that, but suggesting it could be. The ghost was said to be of Lady Townsend, whose husband Charles Townsend imprisoned her at Raynham Hall. After he learned of her adultery, she was locked in her room at the family home and was forbidden from even seeing her children. She remained confined there until her death in 1726. In the centuries that followed, there were repeated sightings of Lady Townsend's ghost, spotted wandering around the hall. She was always seen wearing the same brown dress, and some described seeing her with her eyes gouged out. But by far the most extraordinary sighting of her occurred on September the 19th, 1936, when photographers Captain Provand and Indri Shearer were at Raynham Hall taking photographs for the magazine Country Life. When they developed the photos taken that day, they found that they had captured the image of a ghostly apparition drifting down the staircase. The picture was published in Country Life on December the 16th, 1936, and caused a storm. However, despite the photo being featured in recent years in a variety of paranormal-related material, there are questions about its authenticity. In 2006, Alan Murdy, a barrister and paranormal researcher, stumbled across a dusty folder in the manuscripts department of Cambridge University Library. In it he discovered details of an extensive investigation carried out by the Society for Psychic Research, shortly after the photo was taken. This research was carried out by Mr. C.V.C. Herbert, and this is what he found. In an interview with Provand and Shearer, Herbert noted that Shearer was nervous and superstitious, and was more of a businessman than a photographer, and strangely, Shearer was not his real name. The then Lady Townsend also revealed Mr. Shearer was at the hall in hope of photographing a ghost. after interviewing Provand, it was established that the bellows of the camera used were faulty and sometimes let light in, and that the camera was unsteady as it was on a marble table that day. He also said he removed the lens cap in a hurry when Shearer claimed he had seen something on the stairs. Provand did not see anything himself, as he had his head under the camera hood. After studying the photograph, Herbert noticed a picture frame on the wall was duplicated. The balusters on the staircase didn't connect correctly to each other, and the odd angles pointed to the camera being moved, meaning the stairs could have accidentally photographed twice. The conclusion was that the image was created when the camera was unintentionally shaken during the 6-second exposure. This, coupled with the leaking of light caused by the faulty bellows, produced this extraordinary spectre-looking image. What is also telling is that no ghostly apparitions have been reported at the Hall since the photograph was taken. UFO sightings at the International Space Station. In recent years, NASA has introduced live feeds from the International Space Station. Avid viewers have been quick to point out what appears to be UFOs that come into view. This is often fueled further when NASA abruptly stopped live feeds on occasions, causing speculation that something has been detected that they do not want the public to see. However, in 2017, a former NASA engineer, James Oberg, spoke out and gave an explanation for the strange objects that sometimes float into vision, and some say he has effectively debunked any talk of UFO or alien life. This is his explanation. What is being seen is space dandruff, which are things that have sloughed off space vehicles during flight, like ice flakes, paint chips, or fragments of insulation. They're different to space junk because they do not pose a real threat to spacecraft. These flecks of dandruff are pretty common, but the reason they look so weird to us is that we're not used to the way these objects look when they fall while the space station is travelling through space. It's the same reason why people see so many UFOs in the footage filmed by the cameras attached to NASA's old space shuttle missions. In these videos, people usually freak out because the spots seem to dance in and out of view, or suddenly appear and disappear, which is pretty creepy if you're sitting on your computer on Earth. But isn't that weird if you're on a space shuttle travelling 17,500 miles per hour? Nothing's going to stay in your frame of vision very long, and if the spacecraft is in the right position in relation to the sun, it can also cast its shadow onto these objects to make them disappear and reappear, which is known as twilight shadowing. Given what James has said, are you convinced or still not sure? Chemtrails. Chemtrails are a familiar sight these days, the line-shaped clouds crisscrossing the sky left by aircraft engine exhausts, or changes in air pressure. They're mainly composed of water in the form of ice crystals. But for conspiracy theorists, there is more to these trails than just the condensed water left by aircraft. They have for many years believed these trails are part of a secret program to control things, including the weather, the climate, and our minds. They prefer to call them chemtrails, and believe, rather than innocent condensation, they consist of a chemical or biological agent, and are internationally sprayed for purposes undisclosed to the general public, claiming that chemtrails are now more extensive, brighter, and do not evaporate quickly, as would be expected from normal aircraft contrails. However, for many years, scientists have worked tirelessly to disprove these claims, although much of their reassurance has fallen on deaf ears. In 2016, scientists agreed there was no evidence to support the chemtrail theory. 77 atmospheric scientists and geochemists were presented with so-called chemtrail evidence, and the results were published in the journal Environmental Research Letters. It revealed that 76 of the 77 scientists who took part in the study confirmed there was no proof chemtrails existed. They were presented with photographic evidence, along with samples of pond sediment, snow, and air, that the theorists claimed were contaminated with traces of barium, aluminium, copper, and strontium from chemtrails. As for the increased amount and longer contrails now visible in the sky, this was due to changes in jet engine technology and the increase in air travel. Atmospheric changes from global warming may also cause the artificial clouds to linger longer than they used to. Now, don't get me wrong, things are being put in our food and atmosphere that should not be there, possibly to control our minds. But for chemtrails in particular, until further information is given, I think these can be classed as debunked. the Enfield hauntings. In 1977, a story broke in the news about poltergeist activity at a house in the North London suburb of Enfield. The activity centred around two sisters living in the house, aged 11 and 13, who complained to their mother Peggy that they had witnessed furniture moving and tapping sounds. She was so concerned that she called the police. Later there were claims of demonic voices, toys and furniture flung around, and children levitating along with other disturbing happenings. The events caught the attention of the British newspaper and over the years spawned many books, documentaries and films, most notably the 2016 film The Conjuring 2. However, at the time, there was a lot of debate as to whether the whole thing was a wind-up by the two girls, although many paranormal experts denied this. It's a case I have long had an interest in, so as you can imagine, I was disappointed when I found out it was probably all fake, and here's the reason why. The two sisters admitted to hoaxing some of the poltergeist activity. This was backed up when in interviews the pair generally smirked their way through questions regarding the hauntings. The classic photo of 11-year-old Janet levitating above her bed is thought to be her just jumping off the bed. There is no evidence in the photo to suggest she was hovering in midair, caused by supernatural beings. Witnesses, including a policewoman, swear they saw furniture move. However, at the time, the details of the case were well known, and it's thought these witnesses could have been influenced by the power of suggestion. Janet was also prone to speaking with a demon's voice, but it's been noted from recordings that the seemingly gruff poltergeist seemed to have had the vocabulary and characteristics of an 11-year-old girl. It seems that the whole thing was likely a prank that got out of control. It started as a trick orchestrated by the two schoolgirls that escalated when the police and press got involved, to the point where they had to keep up the story. Despite all of this incriminating behaviour, the case is still deemed by many to be one of the most credible hauntings in history. But given this information, what do you think? Are there many more credible paranormal stories out there that hold much more weight? So that's 5 more mysteries and conspiracies that we can finally put to bed. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'm really thinking about doing more of these. The more we debunk mysteries and conspiracies, the more time and focus we can put into the real ones. So let me know if you'd like to see more. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to head over to the Top 5's Instagram page and follow all of our adventures this year. As always, I'll see you in the next video.